Welcome back to LFC Transfer Hub, your ultimate home for all things Liverpool. Today we've got huge transfer drama and breaking news.
The relief of Burnley win, his substitutions and Liverpool's plan for Alexander Isak. Arne Slot explains Alexis Mac Allister's substitution at Burnley. Mohamed Salah scores 95th minute winner as Liverpool beat Burnley at Turf Moor. Man City brewing homegrown Gehi in one of the most talented teen CBs. Now let's hear the details. Welcome to LFC Transfer Hub. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, also leave your comment below. Let's start. The relief of Burnley win, his substitutions and Liverpool's plan for Alexander Isak. Arne Slot was left relieved after Liverpool finally broke Burnley down to secure a dramatic 1-0 win at Turf Moor. Mohamed Salah scored a penalty in the 95th minute on Sunday to ensure the defending champions' winning start to their Premier League title defence extended to 4 games. The Reds are now the first side in the division's history to win 4 matches in a row with decisive goals netted in the final 10 minutes or later, and sit top of the table as the only team to have picked up 12 points so far this season. On whether he takes reassurance from the mentality of his side in getting another late win or is concerned that the winning goal has taken so long. A bit of both. I know how hard it is to create chances against a team that's with 11 players in their 18-yard box. It's by the way very good that they do this because they've almost got a point, so I'm not saying anything negative about it. I'm just trying to explain how difficult it is against a Premier League team because they are very good players as well. If they defend with all of them back and they hardly try to bring the ball out from the back because the goalkeeper every time plays long, and we don't score from a set piece, then the only thing you can score from is open play. And open play is quite difficult if you have to outplay 11 players in their own 18-yard box. That's what we saw today. You come close, but every time there is a foot in between or whatever. There were no really open chances, so a draw was probably what we expected throughout the game, but we tried also with the substitutions we made to bring all the players we have that can attack on the pitch. I think we were 6 or 7 in end. I don't know if that has anything to do with us scoring the goal, but we did create the penalty and just before that, had a big chance from Jeremy Frimpong. So, relief. Lucky. On whether Milos Kerkez's substitution in the first half was solely due to the fact he had been booked. Not only the yellow card but also that afterwards he played the ball, no foul at all, but the referee blew his whistle, which can always happen because this happens in football. But the reaction of the fans, and I also saw players of them also trying to go to the referee, saying, if you think this is a foul, maybe you should give a yellow for it. Which would have been ridiculous of course, but then it is a risk. The only way we could lose this game is if we are down to 10, because with 11v11 we could have drawn it, but we could never have lost it because they have never been in our 18-yard box. So, then the only way you can lose it is if we go down to 10, and I didn't want to take that risk. Which was hard for Milos because normally you don't have to take a player off if he has a yellow before, but I felt this was the best choice to make. On whether he thought about taking Salah off or if his aim was to overload with attacking players. If you need a goal and things are not going really well, although in the second half I felt we were better and better and we came closer and closer, but I thought about almost every substitution. But in the end you always come back to, I don't want to leave this stadium with a draw thinking I didn't bring all my attackers in, all the guys that can score a goal. In another game you maybe wonder, is it worth the risk to play with 7 attackers, but against a team that plays with 11 players in their own 18-yard box that's not, I think, a big risk then, and that's why we decided to do that. And taking Mo off, if you need a goal, it will probably happen this season or maybe next season, but it probably won't happen a lot. On whether Alexander Isak, who was not named in the matchday squad, trained this morning. No, he did recovery, but he had a hard and tough session yesterday. So, I can explain to you, it will take a few minutes but is not that difficult to understand. So, if you start the season when the players who have been off for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, you give them a certain base. You give them a lot of good sessions before they are able in the end of the week to play 45 minutes. We got him from Newcastle in a state where you could say his preseason is going to start now, so then he needs proper minutes of training before he has a certain base, let alone for him to play twice in 3 days. So, that's what we do. What we try to prepare players for in the beginning of the season is to play once a week, and then we try to do more and more for a minimum of 2 games a week so they are ready for that schedule. Now, Alex is far from ready for that schedule of 3 games in a week, 90 minutes. But then we could use him today for 5 minutes and then Wednesday again 10, and then 15, but we don't believe that is the way to build him up. We believe it's the way. Sweden did the right thing of giving him good sessions without playing him a lot, because if you play the player you cannot give him good sessions. They did the right thing, and we did the same, so now he will be able either Wednesday or Saturday to play 45 as a minimum, and maybe a little bit more. But if he plays 45 on Wednesday, don't expect him to play 45 or more on Saturday, because his body is not prepared for that in our opinion. Arne Slot explains Alexis Mac Allister's substitution at Burnley. Arne Slot allayed fears of an injury for Alexis Mac Allister after he was substituted at halftime of Liverpool's 1-0 win at Burnley on Sunday. The Argentina midfielder was on the receiving end of a late challenge from Leslie Ugachukwu during the first half and required lengthy treatment from the club's medical staff. Mac Allister continued until the interval, during which he was replaced by Connor Bradley at Turf Moor. However, Slot explained post-match how the decision to bring the number 10 off was also partly a tactical one. He told his post-match press conference, "It is similar to Isak, but in a completely different way. He missed a lot of preseason, so he is ready for 1 game a week, maybe 4, 70 to 90. He played 90 for Argentina and he was really tired after 70. He doesn't have the right build-up towards playing 3 games a week for 90 minutes, so it was always sure today that I would take him off after 60 minutes for him to be able to be back on the pitch again on Wednesday and for him to be on Saturday back on the pitch again. I had already made 1 substitution in the first half, so if I then take him off at 60 minutes, that would be my second one. If I then want to make another on 75, then in end I can do nothing anymore." So, that combined with the fact the tackle was a tackle he felt, and I am not surprised by the fact he felt that tackle, by the way, it was a combination of both. He said it was fine and good enough to go on, although he limped a lot, so that was more his mentality I think than it was he could actually perform at his best for 15 minutes longer. So, the combination of him being injured and me not wanting to lose the second substitution after 60 minutes led to it, and us not playing so well, by the way. Bringing Dom, Szoboszlai, to the midfield, more players that can attack the box. So, a lot of arguments and, it was, partly tactical. Mohamed Salah scores 95th minute winner as Liverpool beat Burnley at Turf Moor. Mohamed Salah's 95th minute penalty saw Liverpool claim another dramatic victory in the Premier League as Burnley were beaten 1-0 at Turf Moor. Sunday's match looked set to end in frustration and 1 point for the Reds, despite a dominant second-half performance that followed a somewhat pedestrian display before the break. Ryan Gravenberch, Dominic Szoboszlai and Federico Chiesa went close to unpicking the Burnley lock before yet more late drama unfolded this season. Hannibal Mejbri handled Jeremy Frimpong's cross deep into stoppage time and Salah duly blasted home from 12 yards to preserve the champions' 100% winning start to their title defense. Team news. Arne Slot named an unchanged starting 11 from the win over Arsenal a fortnight ago, while Frimpong returned as a substitute after injury. Alexander Isak was not included in the matchday squad, with Slot saying pre-match that Liverpool are aiming for the striker to be able to make his debut against Atletico Madrid on Wednesday. Liverpool: Alisson, Van Dijk, Konate, Frimpong, 87, Kerkez, Robertson, 38, Wirtz, Gumaha, 87, Szoboszlai, Mac Allister, Bradley, 46, Salah, Gakpo, Ekatike, Chiesa, 72, Gravenberch. And used subs: Mamardashvili, Gomez, Endo, Bradley, Nyoni. First half. Liverpool monopolised possession in the early stages, though Burnley goalkeeper Martin Dubravka remained untested. Indeed, the game's first attempt of note was the hosts as Jadon Anthony shot over the crossbar from 18 yards. Ibrahima Konate headed over from no more than a couple of yards out amid a flurry of corners for the Reds, and set pieces felt like the likeliest avenue for success with their passing lacking fluency as the rain fell heavily. Slot opted to bring Andy Robertson on for Milos Kerkez, who had earlier been booked, in the closing stages of the first half, and the Scots' first action was to burst into the area before having an effort on goal saved. Hugo Ekatike then toe-poked wide after driving in from the left, and a half-low on goalmouth action ended goalless. Second half. There was a greater urgency from Liverpool straight after the restart, and Gravenberch volleyed narrowly over the bar before Connor Bradley, on at the break in place of Alexis Mac Allister, headed wide. Florian Wirtz rolled an attempt off target after jinking his way into the box, and Szoboszlai, restored to central midfield following Bradley's introduction, unleashed a powerful drive from distance that Dubravka palmed wide. The dominance of Salah's side was increasing, with Burnley now entrenched in their own defensive third. With a little over 20 minutes left, Chiesa was introduced and the No. 14 could have impacted proceedings immediately but glanced his header wide from Robertson's inviting cross. Scott Parker's team were holding firm, but their task was made tougher when Leslie Ugochukwu was sent off for a second bookable offense in the 84th minute. Salah's final roll of the dice involved Frimpong and Rio Ngumaa coming on for the last few minutes, and it was the former's delivery into the box that Hannibal handled, giving Salah the chance to win it. He did just that, nervelessly dispatching his penalty high in front of a rapturous away end. Having begun their Premier League title defense with 3 consecutive victories that were each clinched in the closing stages before the international break, Arne Slot's men did it again versus Burnley. The champions' dominance for much of the Turf Moor contest had not translated into a breakthrough, but a penalty for handball gave Salah a chance. The Egyptian duly lashed in the spot kick to bag 3 points in more memorable fashion. It's a tough opponent today, Salah, whose goal took him to outright 4th on the Premier League's all-time top scorers list, told Sky Sports afterwards. We tried our best to play the ball between the lines, but it's tough to win. I'm glad that in the end we managed to win the game. The players are adapting to our system. We had a few new players in the starting lineup. It takes time to adapt their game to our game. We try to make them comfortable in a game. Isak also came last week and he's going to be in the team. We try to find the balance. We don't give up. We just try to push ourselves and our team to the limit.
Kulig further expands to state that Mfuni is both dominant and elegant with his general play out from the back, with the teenager now hopeful he can be a similar Lewis-style revelation in the City first team and perhaps save Guardiola and company some hassle in the market by further being a Guehi-like presence. After all, the in-demand Eagles defender is also a well-rounded player in his own right at Selhurst Park, having had to wrestle with the difficulties, too, of being a promising youngster himself at Chelsea. He boasts an 85% pass accuracy in the Premier League this season, also matched by his ability to win 4 duels on average per clash as a dominant force aerially. Mfuni has also displayed this same forceful presence in the air when heading home a recent goal in U18 action versus the Red Devils last season, with his overall numbers for the England U19s in the recent U19 Euros, as seen above. Further showing off a talent that's both calm on the ball but fierce in a battle, much like the soon-to-be out-of-contract Warrior. Of course, it would be foolish to anticipate that Mfuni would be able to come into the first-team picture right away and be as confident as Guehi, with the 25-year-old having to fight hard himself to become a Premier League established star, as seen in his top-flight debut not coming until he was 21. Yet, the hope will be, down the line, that the teenage sensation can be City's own homegrown version of Guehi, regardless of whether Guardiola and company get their hands on the 6-foot titan or not. Man City brewing homegrown Guehi in one of the most talented teen CBs. Manchester City's 4-0 opening day success over Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League now feels like an awfully long time ago. Indeed, since Pep Guardiola's men romped home to a resounding victory at Molineux, the citizens have tasted defeat 2 times in quick succession, with Tottenham Hotspur proving to be their kryptonite once more in a 2-0 home loss, before travelling to Brighton and Hove Albion and coming unstuck late on in a 2-1 defeat. This poor start to the season, after a topsy-turvy 2024-25 campaign, will be seriously worrying to those who fill out the Etihad week in, week out, who will now be fearing a defeat in the Manchester Derby later on today. Suffering those 2 defeats on the spin does look to have jolted City into life as to what they could do when transfers are back in play, with one new defensive target already reportedly on their shopping list who could soon call Gianluigi Donnarumma a teammate at the back. City's potential transfer business. It will be interesting to see if the former Paris Saint-Germain goalkeeper gets the nod to start over James Trafford against Ruben Amorim's Red Devils, having now sealed a move to England. Guardiola might well favour his new recruit over the young Englishman, considering City have conceded 4 goals across their last 2 defeats, with 1 effort conceded against Spurs all Trafford's own making. The Spaniard might also have a move for Marc Guéhi up his sleeve to further improve his defensive personnel, with Football Insider recently revealing that City could soon beat Liverpool to the signature of the Crystal Palace centre-back. Amazingly, the leaky former Premier League champions might even be able to snap up Guéhi on a free transfer, with it going down as a big coup to snatch the England international away from the reaches of Anfield for nothing. Just fresh off scoring his first-ever England goal during the international break, Guéhi will hope he can land a bumper move in the near future to the likes of City, having seen a deadline day move to Liverpool heartbreakingly fall through. However, the inconsistent citizens might well be brewing their own homegrown version of Guéhi right now, who has been showered with some very high praise already, despite only being 17 years of age. Man City's own homegrown Guéhi. After all, the sparkling success story of Rico Lewis in the first-team picture at the Etihad is enough to give City great confidence in the next generation of talents coming through, with Lewis recently penning a new contract at his boyhood club that takes him to 2030. By that point, City Academy starlet Stephen Mfuni will be hoping he's making waves in the senior picture himself, having already been branded as one of the most talented teenage CBs in world football by scout Isak last year.